Weekly, GarageBand, GarageBand Weekly, GarageBand Weekly. Need an answer to your question. John, you'll have a suggestion. He's a fountain of all knowledge. I think he might have gone to GarageBand College. What he doesn't know, we'll try and find out. So join the chat and give him a shout. Here's John. Here's John. GarageBand Weekly.
Oh, hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to GarageBand Weekly. On this week's show, I'm going to take you through the 5 biggest mistakes that I see folks make with GarageBand on their iPhone and iPad. But don't worry, if you're not a GarageBand iPhone or iPad user, you're probably still going to get some value out of things because they're all pretty generic, if I'm honest. And we'll dive into that in probably about 5 minutes' time. We've also got some news and notes to talk about. Not a whole lot. I'll be really honest, we're going to say good day to the folks who are here live, and we are interactive, so if you do have questions, I would love to help you out if I can. Just put a big fatty old Q in front of your question or your comment, and I'll attempt to answer anything that you may throw my way. G'day to the folks who are here. We've got Ashley HM, we've got The Falcro, we've got Scotty Borthwick, trying to transition to Logic for iPad. Well, check out my Logic videos, plenty of those here on the channel as well. G'day to Mark Bro, g'day to JX, hope you are doing well. The Mix Club, hello Rhett, hope you are doing well. And our wonderful moderator, The Rise of Dark Leela, who has already given you a heap of ways you can support me and support the channel. Become a member, do the Patreon thing, make a donation. I appreciate each and every one of you. Hello to Mr. Fomiati as well. Let's dive in and let's talk about a few news and notes. So only a couple of things that I wanted to mention here today in terms of the news and notes, and that is, if we dive on over here to our notes here. We've got a couple of cool live shows coming up for you, including this one. So I'll be joined this Friday morning or Thursday afternoon or evening, depending where you are in the world, for some quiz time. Yeah, you get to hang out with me and, more importantly, my wonderful wife, Georgie. So I've thrown a link here in the chat if you would like to bookmark that one for later. It is music quiz time, and it's a Who Am I? We're going back in time over the last 10 years and paying tribute to some of the musicians and creators that we've lost over that time. So it's going to be a Who Am I format. I don't know any of the people. Georgie's doing all of the quizzing, and I'll just be there doing my thing, which is probably just making snide comments and getting none of them right, because my knowledge of musicians is pretty low. It'll be like, they were born in Minneapolis, they liked to wear purple, and they had a really #1 hit song called Kiss. And I'll be like, is it Gene Simmons? I'll be like, yeah, good one, Johns. The other thing I wanted to draw your attention to is straight after this one. In fact, this is what's going to keep us on track today. I've got the latest episode. I'll throw the link to this one down there too. Latest episode of my 5-minute GarageBand tips. We're up to 20. And I thought, let's celebrate the 20th GarageBand tip by doing a live premiere. So that one's going to hit the airwaves straight after this one. So in 27 minutes time. So you can hang around for that one. In fact, you'll be diverted straight over there. If you're watching this one live, you'll be sent right on over there straight after this one. Hello, the Semtex Cow Moo to you. Hey, it's our old friend Andrea Ross Green. And by old, I mean you've been around the channel a while. That's all I mean by that. Hello to you. G'day, Joe Darrow. Hello to Jade, Star, Yo Ho, and a bottle of rum. G'day, TC Ryan. G'day, Al Davis Music, and anyone else I've missed. Hello to you. Should we dive straight in? Yeah, let's dive into our feature topic, shall we? And we're going to go over here into GarageBand. And I'm going to talk about this. Now, the first thing I want to say, I've been guilty of this in the past, and that is of giving advice and saying, here's things you should never do and here's things you should always do. Have you seen those videos on YouTube? The 5 rules of mixing, 5 mixing mistakes that will ruin your mixes, 5 things you should never, ever, ever do. Here's the first thing I want to say. You do you, boo. Get in there. Trial and error, experimentation, having fun. They're all good things to do. And in fact, as we'll get to when we talk about the last of these 5 tips that I'm going to give you, sometimes less is more. Sometimes you can overdo it in terms of the preparation, and you can become a scholar without actually becoming a practical practitioner. You know what I mean? All theory, no practice makes Pete a dull boy, or something like that. Let's dive in and talk about these. So, rule number one. Now that I've said there are no rules, first rule, no outside food. No, the first thing I want to say to you is the saddest emails, the saddest messages I get every single week from GarageBand users around the world is, Pete, I just got a new iPhone. Pete, I just reinstalled iOS, the latest version. Pete, I just updated my GarageBand and all my projects are missing. I go into my GarageBand folder and all of my projects are gone. And 2, 3, 7, 26 years worth of work in GarageBand is all missing. And I say to those folks, I say, do you have a backup? And what do you think the classic answer is when I ask the question, do you have a backup? No, they don't. And here's the thing, I get it. Backing up is so not sexy. It is so not fun. It is so annoying, but it can save you. It can save you big time. I have been guilty of moving things to the wrong place, accidentally deleting files, accidentally deleting whole folders. And if you don't have a backup, it's going to be painful. Easiest way to back up in the Mac and iOS ecosystem is, instead of using the on my iPad or the on my iPhone location to store any of your files, simply use your iCloud drive. Store everything, your samples, your projects, your songs, your mix downs, your masters. Store everything in your iPad, in your iCloud drive, not in on my iPad, not in on my iPhone, but in your iCloud drive. Now, there's a couple of problems with this. Number one, and actually really only the only problem, but it's all based around this, is storage capacity, because Apple give you the very generous amount of, what is it, about 200 gigabytes? No, 200 megabytes? It's not a lot out of the box. It's been so long since I haven't paid for this that I've forgotten. So quite often you can't actually store your stuff if you don't pay Apple a little more. Now there's different plans. You can either go with the Apple One plan or you can go with the iCloud Drive plan up to 2 terabytes. So I think there's a 2 terabyte, 1 terabyte, a 200 gigabytes, and a smaller plus 50 gigabyte plan, I think. So you can pay anything from $3 up to about $10 or $15, depending where you are in the world. And you can do that through your Apple account. Why would you want to do that? Because to me, $10 a month to save the heartache of ever losing anything again. 2 terabytes is so much that even me, I have mine and all of my family's iOS devices backed up, and I have a heap of room for all my GarageBand and all my Logic Pro for iOS projects. It is plenty of storage room to go. 5 gigabytes is what it is. Yes, Apple is still only giving 5 gigabytes, which is not enough. It's not enough to back up a single phone, let alone all the other things that we have. Is it 5 or is it 50? I think it's 50 actually. Before we throw them under the bus. You know what? There's a really easy way to find this out, because guess what? We have the power of the internet, and we can actually find out how much we can get. So iCloud Drive storage upgrade. Let's Google it. And let's see how much it costs. iCloud Plus is what it's called. And if we come over here, here it is and what we can do. So here in Australia, yes, it's 50 gigabytes a month. So you don't even get 50 gigabytes. I think you're right. I think it's 5 gigabytes you get for free. 50 gigabytes here is $1.49, which means it's probably 99 cents in other parts of the world. 200 gigabytes is $4.49, which is probably $3. And the $15 or $10 plan is $2 terabytes. So that's your options if you want to use iCloud Drive. What if you say, Johns, I already give Apple too much of my money. I don't want to do that. Well, there's other ways to do this, and there's a heap of videos. If you search Pete Johns GarageBand Backup, you're going to find a heap of videos showing you exactly how to do this. But let's just say you don't want to take my advice and you're storing all your projects over here. Well, what you can do is actually you can zip up your projects and store them somewhere else. So let's just say this goats that I have here, this demo project, this is like nearly a gigabyte. It's 945 megabytes. I don't want to lose this demo. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go over to my Files app, because we can't do this from within the GarageBand iOS. So we come over here to my Files app, we dive into there, we tap and hold on this one, and we come over and we press the compress button. Why do we need to zip it? Because Mac files and iOS files are not compatible with things like Google Drive and Dropbox and other platforms. But if we zip them up like we're doing here, and you can see there's little circles going around, there it is. So you save yourself a bunch of space. It's gone from 970 down, 340 down to 375, and B, it means we can now put this anywhere. So how do you do that? You tap and you drag it and you put it into a different file. So you've got Google Drive, you've got OneDrive that I've got there, you've got Dropbox, or what I find the better way to do it is to actually go to the app for that. So if I go here to Google Drive, if we type in Drive there and go to Google Drive, we can simply upload it from here. So we tap there, we go upload, we go browse, and then all we need to do is browse over to that location that we just stored it and grab that zip file. Upload it straight to Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive. And here's the cool thing. You can use a smorgasbord of options because all of these places will give you at least a little bit of storage for free. So set up a Dropbox account, a Box account, a OneDrive account, a Google Drive account. Hey, who doesn't have multiple Google accounts? I didn't tell you that, but who doesn't have multiple Google accounts? So use the tools that you have. But whatever you do, however you want to do it, if you want to pay Apple to do it simply and just store it on your iCloud drive, do that. If you don't want to pay Apple, when you get to the end of a major project or you've hit a milestone in the project, just spend 2 minutes. That's all it took just then. 2 minutes to go in there, zip up a backup version of it, throw it on a USB drive, throw it on your Mac, throw it on your PC, throw it on Google Drive, throw it on Dropbox. Just put it somewhere, because I got to tell you, I'm absolutely over the people in tears on email to me telling me that they've lost everything. Yeah. I'm getting into P Cloud. There you go. See, there's so many of them. USB key, exactly. There's so many different options that you can use. Just do something for the love of your deity of choice. Please do something. All right. Number two. That was a long way to go, but I wanted to talk about it because it is so important. In my humble opinion, it is so important, and it is the number one I wanted to talk about. If you listen to nothing else from me here today, listen to that one. Number two. I've seen a lot of people, especially when you're starting out with GarageBand, and especially if you're recording things like guitars and vocals into GarageBand, and that's going off the grid. What do I mean by that? Well, you might think, well, yeah, Pete, I don't go off the grid. I stay on the grid. I make sure I use my metronome, and I make sure that I stay on the grid. But what I'm talking about here is when you're moving things around. See how this guitar here is off the grid? If I start to move this now, it's going to do some weird things. And to demonstrate this, I'm going to bring in these guitars. So let's just bring in just a couple of these guitars, and I'll just play you. This is my song called Sink or Swim. It sounds like this. Right? So I've already set all these up, and I've done the trimming, and I've done everything here to make sure that they're right there on the start of those. But you can see that this one here is not right on the grid. I've actually moved a little bit, and so is this one here. I've moved it a little bit. And here's the thing, if I was still working on this project and then I wanted to like sort of move something around, the amount of times that I've seen people just grab this and accidentally just go, oh, that should just be there, and that should just be there, and that should these have all just fallen off the grid. Because if you leave them, if you don't put them on the grid to begin with, this is the sort of thing that's going to happen. Has that happened to anyone else? Yeah, it happened to me all the time when I started out, and I realized it was because I was trying to get too fancy. Let's just undo all that. I was trying to get too fancy and get off the grid. So what do I mean by this? So when you first record, you'll have things like this, right? It'll go from like one of these grid markers, and you'll have this lead-in stuff. And what I'm saying to you right here, right now, is you'll save yourself a heck of a lot of drama if you leave everything lined up to the same place, even if there are gaps. So here, there's gaps at the start of all that, right? And your last thing you should do is to actually do your tops and tails. But when you're starting out, even put it right on a bar marker, because it's just going to save you that if you start moving things around, you'll do this by accident. And because GarageBand, for all of its good things, has no way to lock a track, so no way to stop you and protect a track so that you don't accidentally move something around, you need this, because otherwise you'll kind of tweak something slightly and go, where the hell does this go back? And if everything lines up, you know that it can all go back right into the first place. So do that. Just do that. And then at the very end, you can zoom all the way in. You can turn your grid off. And yeah, you can get right up. You can get intimate with bits. You can go right up to where it is. You can remove all those bits of sound and all those gaps that you don't need. But again, do that at the very end. Just like your automation, you should do automation at the very end. You should do your final edits, even if it's annoying for you to hear the little bit of distortion or the little bit of noise from your guitar or your microphone before and after. Just save that to the end. Stay on the grid. Yeah, I reckon everyone has done it. Everyone that uses GarageBand has done that, and there's nothing more annoying. It's really hard to find exactly where, if you've got it like that and you start moving it around, yeah, good luck trying to get it back to the place where it actually sits perfectly in. I mean, I can undo because I've only just done it, but if you do that and then you do 15 other moves and you've lost your undo, you're no good. You can't do it. So trust me on that one. Keep everything lined up until you get to the very end with that one. I'm going to play this whole track to you, and I want you here in the chat, those that are here live, or if you're watching on the replay, play along at home. Tell me, what's wrong with this picture? This is a cool song, Jade Starr on drums, me rocking out on guitar. It's a cool song. What's wrong with this? It's going to be pretty obvious if you've used GarageBand for a while. Let's take a look and a listen. All right, let's jump over to the chorus and see if there's anything else going on here.
Tell me what you think and say. 'Cause I don't know what's in the water.
Sounds all right, yeah. Rockin' song, pretty cool. What's wrong? What's wrong? Let me know. What is it? Yeah, that's it. Scott's got it. It is too hot. It is way too loud. Here's the problem that GarageBand presents. As soon as you start layering up more than about 4 or 5 tracks, you need to start pulling your volumes down, because by default, GarageBand puts you up here at 80% of your volume, and that is going to cause you problems, because even though like not all these guitars are right up, the vocals aren't right up, yeah, it is still way too loud. Check out this, your master volume. And for those on iPhones, it's even harder because you don't even have this little pretend master volume fader at the top here. So you'll need to be really careful about your levels here. Let's play this again and take a look at this meter and see what it's doing here.
And I don't know if I can win.
And as Ponk80 said here, your compressor's working overtime. GarageBand has something called auto-normalization. But what auto-normalization becomes, if you go over 0 dB, so if you go into the clipping, the distorting territory, is it becomes an auto-limiter, which turns down your volume. Have you ever heard a song where every time the kick drum or the bass kicks in, it does that ducking at the top? Yeah, that's what it can happen here. I'm going to show you this by exporting this file. So let's just come out here. Let's just say I'm happy with this and I didn't know that I needed to bring this down and bring these levels down. Let's just export this. We're going to share it. And while I do this, I'm actually going to explain. I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to explain the 4th thing that I see people do that you shouldn't do. And again, you do you, boo. If storage space is of a premium and you want to do this, you can. But when you're exporting a song, just use uncompressed wave. It is the most universally acceptable. It is completely uncompressed. It is completely lossless. And it works with everything. Whatever platform you're using, you're moving it between Mac and PC, you're moving it to iOS, you're moving through different apps. Everything supports Wave. Not everything supports Apple's lossless format. Not everything supports AIFF. Not everything supports your MP4 compressed files. So please use uncompressed Wave. Stay away from those lower quality ones. So let's hit the share button. And let's share this out here. I'm going to hit the open in because this is a little tip as well. If you hit open in, you can then select an application to send it to. And I'm going to send it to auto share. So we're going to let that do that in the background as we wait. Here, we will get to number 5 in just a jiffy. But just to recap on this one, number 1 thing I'd love you to stop doing is to stop not backing up, because I don't want those emails. They make me sad. They make me cry because I don't want you losing your music. Number 2, don't start moving things and flying things around and getting off the grid early in your process before you've done all your recording, or you're going to fly something to the wrong spot and have a bloody hard time getting it back in the right zone. Number 3, for gosh sake, turn it down. Most of you are probably recording too loud. I know I was. It took me a long time to work this out, and it took me probably 3 or 4 spoiled projects when I first started using GarageBand to realize that you need to turn it down to about half the volume you think you should, because it sounds great and it looks fine and it's all good while you're there in GarageBand until you export it out. And it's only then that you can see and hear that horrible pumping that the auto limiting does with your files in GarageBand. And number 4, don't use compressed format. So let's just explain that for a sec if you're not familiar with compressed file format. So compressing a file means squishing it down. You know how we zipped up a file earlier in the video? It's like that, but for your audio. So what zipping a file does is it finds the little blank spaces that aren't needed and it just removes them so that you get a smaller file size. Guess what it does with your audio? It does the same thing. It pulls the frequencies that it thinks are not going to have the most impact, that are not going to affect the song. So it's like, oh, we don't need those sub-bass frequencies. Oh, there's a few little treble frequencies we don't need. So it crushes your dynamic range because it removes some of those frequencies. Now, a good quality compression at 320 kilobits, it's not going to do much. Unless you're a real audiophile, you're probably not going to hear it. But if you start going down to 192, 128, 64, yeah, you're going to hear those artifacts. You're going to hear those compression artifacts actually kick in, and it's not going to sound good. The other thing is if you're then going to upload to YouTube or you're going to release it using DistroKid or send it to SoundCloud or whatever you're going to do with it, they will compress it again. So why double compress? Why would you firstly compress it only then for it to be compressed again by a platform? So save yourself and use an uncompressed format and only send it around. Only send an uncompressed file format to those other ones, because otherwise you're double compressing, and ain't nobody got time for that. All right, let's jump back over to here and take a look. So here is our file. We are going to hit the audio share button and take a look at that. Does that look good? That's not even a master. That's our mix down. How much headroom do we have up the top here to do any mastering, to give ourselves some space? Yeah, none. And as you can see here, in sections like this, it's what I like to call a sausage. It's a sausage waveform. It's all the way across. And if we play here, take a look, but more importantly, take a listen.
All my life I've worried about the things in the water I cannot see.
Now that's only very mild, but can you hear that it's kind of just got that little bit of pumping going on there? And I didn't even make this one super loud, as you saw before. Some folks, when they've got their GarageBand, they've got it like right up to 11. So they've got their meter here just hitting the top all the time. Now, I'm not going to just tell you not to do this, and now I'm going to say, all right, so now what you have to do is go and turn down every single track, because that's going to take you forever. I'm going to give you a little tip here. I'm going to delete out this FX track, so I'm going to show you this. Now, those that have been with me a long time, you know this. You can sing along with me on this one. But if you're newer to GarageBand, this could save you hours of time and make your songs sound pristine as opposed to crappy. And that is to use the effects trick here. So we tap on effects, we just hit record, we just rub in a bit of a filter. We don't actually need that. We're not going to use it. We just need to make sure the effects track stays here. So we turn this one on, we delete this, tap it, delete it. We come to our effects, we tap on this, which is our mixer icon, and the cool thing here is, even though we don't have a master volume here in GarageBand, if you add the FX track and go to your visual EQ, you can use the volume, the gain dial over here. So we can actually turn down the gain of our entire track. So let's go aggressive here. Let's turn this down like 15 dB and then come to one of these loud sections and see what's happening here. Much better, yeah. And you don't have to go that nuts. You can change it up here. So let's just say we go 10 dB down to bring it sort of, because where you want this to be is in the green without hitting the yellow very often. I'd even go lower than that. I'd even go down like that. There you go. So that's what I would do with this. And then what we'll do to finish off the show here, I'll show you the difference. So with only that one single 2-minute tweak, let's now re-export this song as a WAV file. It'll take a little time again, but we'll do this. We'll do the open in thing, and we'll let that sit there and mellow and export. And I'll show you the difference at the end. I need a suggestion. Got questions coming in from Rena. I need a suggestion for where or which to find a lead guitar sounds. It sounds like the lead guitar player on Coldplay. There you go. Yeah, and Scott says best to pick a specific song that you can probably find the tone you're looking for. It helps if you're using a similar guitar too. Yeah. Would be digital, GarageBand or an app. Yeah, so if you Google Coldplay and the song, that's one option. The other option is to use the ToneBridge app. So if you've never used ToneBridge, I'll show you it in a sec, but you can basically dial in the tone from any song. And yes, it won't work perfectly if you're not using the same guitar. So if you're using, say, a Les Paul that uses humbucker pickups and it's a single coil Telecaster sound, it's going to be harder to kind of get that sound, but you can definitely get it along the line. But in fact, we probably won't have time, but if you search Pete John's Tone Bridge, Rena, you'll find my full video. In fact, I'll do it right now. While we take a quick break, I will do that for you now. So we'll jump on over here and I will go to the YouTubes and I will search Pete John's Tone Bridge. This is, in my opinion, the easiest way to find guitar tones. So you've got a full almost hour video there, and then you've got like the 8-minute quick version. So you can see there, like, Pearl Jam and Soundgarden, Foo Fighters, Green Day, Weezer. So you basically just dial in the tone, and it gives you a pedal that has the settings for that particular song and that particular artist. It's actually pretty cool. So go and play around with that, and you'll have a lot of fun. Should we go back and see the results of our little experiment here? So let's hit the audio share button and see what's happened this time. Hey, there we go. Look at this. Look at this headroom. Yeah, okay, there's one little spot down here where it's not got a lot. But for the most part, this is a perfectly serviceable. And yeah, we could probably even go a couple of dB lower. But now, take a look and a listen at this. If we go to like even the loud sections down here, much, much better. 'Cause I don't know what's in the water. So you compare that to that. And the amount of times that I see people present me with that, and then I give them this tip and they go away and they get this and then they master that, that's going to really help you and give you a much better sound than the very loud sounds that you have with GarageBand by default. And I don't say any of that to tell you it's your fault, because it's not. Because guess what? GarageBand doesn't make it easy, because they have two things that they do wrong, in my humble opinion. And as much as I love GarageBand, it doesn't do everything right. The two things that they do wrong is that, yeah, as soon as you start loading up on instruments, it has everything too loud to begin with. So you do have to dial it down as you go. And the other thing they do is that auto limiting. And unlike GarageBand on a Mac, where you can come into your settings, you can go into advanced, and you can say, turn auto limiting off. We don't have that. And yes, I've asked. I think I've had the privilege of speaking to the Apple GarageBand team twice in my life. And both times when they said, got any feedback for us? I'm like, auto limiting, turn it off. Or give us an option, just give us a checkbox, a little button there that says, yes, auto normalization on, off. You have it on Mac, put it on iOS. Please, I'm begging you. Alrighty, we are coming towards the end of the show here, folks. So once again, do stick around, because straight after this one, I'm going to show you. Oh no, it's too easy, too low hanging fruit. See what I did there? But yes, the free organ sound, the free Hammond B3 sound, the organ in GarageBand is actually super underrated. It is cool. Let's show you it real quick here, because we've got like 2 minutes before the end of the show. The organ sound that you have here, if we add a new track here, it is so freaking cool. And I'm going to show you all about how to use it in just a moment. So here I've set up my own custom organ sound. And yeah, you can control everything about the organ, the drawbars, the percussion, the chorus, the distortion, even the rotation of your Leslie cabinet. It is super cool, the organ. And if you want to learn how to use it, hang around, because we're going to do a premiere of my brand new episode of the GarageBand 5-Minute Tip Series. The link is down there in the chat if you are here live. If you're watching on the replay, you can find that over at studiolivetoday.com. Go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Check out all the videos we have over there. We do live shows every week. We do Your Music Live, where I showcase your independent music. I do a heap of Logic Pro for iOS videos as well now. So there's a heap going on over there. Got the GarageBand Weekly show, which you've just been watching here, and we do a happy hour show, some live acoustic music. Don't forget, we've got the quiz coming up. You can join in and have some fun with Georgie and myself later in the week as well. And as we say at the end of each and every show around here, please be kind to yourself. Please be kind to others. Most importantly, keep creating, folks. And I'll see you next time right here on GarageBand Weekly. Hang around for the premiere of the organ video. I'll see